Hey Blake, how can dads begin leading in family worship or family devotions at home?
Well, I think any dad that wants to lead his family in understanding God's word, who Jesus is, the gospel, is already heading in the right direction. But I think before he begins leading his family, he needs to be cultivating a daily discipline of being in God's word himself. It'll come off really disingenuous if a dad never reads his Bible, never brings his Bible to church, and then all of a sudden starts forcing his family to have these family devotions. There might be some difficulties doing that. So, number one, making sure before he begins to lead others that he's first cultivating that in his own life, and then maybe even starting with leading his wife. But if he's really ready there to begin having something of a family worship, family devotional time, I think a few principles to learn, certainly from my own failures and unrealistic expectations and the principles of others. Number one, make sure you keep it relatively brief. If your kids are under 10 years old, I'm probably thinking no longer than 10 minutes, probably aiming for 5 minutes. Number two, be careful of doing it when they're cranky and hungry or when they're dog tired. So think of times of the day or times of the week that are better. They're more alert, they're more aware, they're just in a better place to do that. Number three, come up with a decent plan. I mean, for my wife and I, we've done catechisms, reading kind of gospel storybooks, walking through different books of the Bible and how they point us to Christ. We've done a few videos. We've done just one verse. We've done a whole chapter. As a pastor, sometimes I'll even read portions of my sermon passage to my family to get their thoughts on a passage. We've certainly just had more Q&A, like kids ask me any questions you want about the Bible. We've sung songs before. I've read parts of hymns or Christian songs to our kids. And even at times we just went around and thanked God, just thanking God together in prayer. But I would say, yeah, keep it short, have a plan, know your children's ages and their temperaments and what they can handle. And then I think also make sure you're cultivating a little more of an everyday walk with Jesus with your family so that family worship time doesn't seem abrupt or overly formal. What I mean by that is in Deuteronomy 6, we have the Jewish Shema. I want you to listen to how God spoke to Moses to instruct the people of how to raise their children up in the fear and admonition of the Lord. He says in Deuteronomy 6:4, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down and when you rise." In other words, there should be formalized, set apart time to instruct your children in the things of God, to pray, to ask questions. But there should also be a little more of an as you go. So in your truck, in your car, after football practice or soccer practice, after a church service, while you're eating ice cream, as you're walking to a park or playing at a playground, talking about God's creation, talking about things you're thankful to God to God for in your life, and even asking personal questions to your children appropriate to their age to see where they're at spiritually, to help them see what are they grasping. Who do you say Jesus is? Or do you ever feel bad or convicted or challenged when you do wrong? And help them start thinking through things in a more introspective way as they get older. So those would be my basic principles. Begin with shorter amounts of time, have a plan, ask others for help if you need it, know your kids' ages and temperaments and where they're at, and then see what God does with it. And I think at the end of the day, keep it fresh. Even recently, with my kids, I was trying to teach them out of the book of Proverbs, Proverbs chapter 6, about hard work and basically cleaning their room. And we just looked at a video on ants building a bridge. And I just really got them interested about watching ants build a bridge. And then I went to Proverbs 6:6, where God's word says, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, and learn how to work and to work wisely and work hard." So be creative too. Use visual aids, use illustrations, whatever helps them get in the book, get in God's word, is a win.